In the build-up to the Champions League final between Manchester City and Inter Milan, Pep Guardiola was asked to name the most dangerous player at Inter Milan, and he chose Cameroon goalkeeper Andre Onana because it is very hard to press a team when they have a goalkeeper with such good footwork. Now, when you are praised this way by Pep Guardiola, you know that you are definitely doing something right. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly why Andre Onana is at the top of the Manchester United shortlist of goalkeeper targets. Now, without any further ado, let's analyze. Alright, now let's look at some footage from that Inter Milan Manchester City Champions League final to try to identify what actually makes Andre Onana such a dangerous player. Now, one of the best ways you can counter teams like Manchester City, teams that press quite efficiently and effectively, is to actually go long into a target man. Of course, with Inter Milan, they have Lukaku, a player who is more than capable of playing that role. And in Onana, they have a goalkeeper who is able to deliver those balls, as is the case in this sequence right here. For example, Onana going straight long towards Lukaku. Oh, sorry, that was Lautaro Martinez. But of course, throughout the game, they will ball towards Lautaro Martinez and towards Lukaku. But the idea is that when you are playing against a team that presses aggressively, such as Manchester City, try to go long in order to bypass their press. But there's also another way to bypass the press, and it's actually this. Andre Onana, what I like about him in this sequence, and this is what makes him so dangerous. Look at this. Now, Foden identifies that the ball is going towards Onana, so he's going for an intense sprint in order to put pressure on Onana. Now, look at how Onana positions his body. So he positions it as if I'm going to pass it here towards Brozovic, but what he does instead, look, and then now Brozovic can actually receive the ball in this empty spot right here. And look, Onana did it effortlessly, completely unfazed by the intensity of that Foden sprint toward him, because he's confident in his ability. And here now there is another example. As you can see here, Onana has the ball throughout this game. I mean, I've watched this game, and throughout the game, Onana had the ball for 4, 5, sometimes 6 seconds at a time without anything happening, because look, the Manchester City players, they know that they cannot press him. They are scared of pressing him because he's a player who can hurt you. You are not going to get the ball off his feet. And if you can identify that key pass, he's going to actually cause you a lot of problems. So here, none of the Manchester City players are coming to him. So what he does instead, a pass between the Manchester City defenders, players, Haaland and Foden. This kind of pass, David De Gea would never attempt at Manchester United because it's a risky pass, and also he doesn't have the passing ability. But for a player like Onana, this is routine. And then now the ball goes towards Darmian, and then Inter Milan can actually launch their attack. Look how advanced he is, and still completely unfazed by this situation. Look at how composed he is. No problem. It doesn't matter. Erling Haaland, who? Doesn't matter. He is completely unfazed. He is composed in these kind of situations. Now, another situation completely similar to the one with Foden. Here, Haaland is coming towards him. He's showing as in he's going to pass to DiMarco over here. But what he does, beautiful technique. And then now Haaland is taken out of the play. And then beautiful pass through the middle, allowing Inter Milan to keep control. Manchester City were not able to press Inter Milan and to cause them to, win the ball back high up the pitch because of Onana. It's as if Inter Milan were actually playing with 11 outfield players instead of 10 like most teams. Here, Onana also does something that I love. If you remember that video I made, how to beat Pep, with the one that I made before the FA Cup final, a video where the Manchester United players really did not follow anything I talked about in that video. I talked about verticality. A team like Manchester City that comes and presses you high. Look at this. Onana with one pass, he's taken out 6 Manchester City players and getting the ball to the danger players. There you go. And then now Inter Milan have the edge. Now Inter Milan can actually go and cause havoc in the Manchester City final third, right? You cannot do that with David De Gea, because when he plays long, he just clears the ball. He plays it aimlessly. But with a goalkeeper like Onana, you can actually target certain advanced players. You know, in a Manchester United context, this could be Bruno Fernandes, this could be, Marcus Rashford, this could be Anthony, cutting inside from the right-hand side. It could make a world of difference for us next season to have a player with Onana's passing ability. Here again, look how high he is up the pitch. Again, completely unfazed. Look, this pass right here, most goalkeepers in the world would not attempt this pass. And by the way, about this, I'm going to show you a statistic later in the video that makes this even more impressive. Stay tuned for that one. Beautiful pass again in between the defenders. And then here again, look how advanced he is. He's playing in a defensive midfielder position. Every time he has the ball, and this is Manchester City, one of the best team, actually the best team in the world this season, and a team that are known for pressing really high and really aggressively, playing a high defensive line, squeezing teams into their own halves. And yet, look at Onana, where he's touched the ball in this number 6 position quite a few times this game, and it's a Champions League final. Again, look how composed he takes his time, make sure that he's getting the right pass, and then again, beautiful pass towards Lukaku, using the target man quite effectively. And that's it. Beautiful, beautiful player and a masterclass in sweeper keepers. Now, let's look at some data. All right, now let's look at some stats. Now here, I have compiled a few statistics from some key goalkeepers. David De Gea, of course, the Manchester United goalkeeper. Diogo Costa, the highly rated Portuguese sweeper keeper from Porto. Marc-Andre Ter Stegen, one of the best goalkeepers in the world. David Raya, a pretty good sweeper keeper in the Premier League. And Ederson, of course, the Manchester City goalkeeper, to kind of see how Pep Guardiola goalkeeper fares in comparison to Andre Onana. Now, before I start talking about stats that show how good of a shot stopper Andre Onana is, I want to show you this. This actually is a statistic that shows the errors that a goalkeeper has made throughout the season. By the way, these games are from the league games as well as the European competitions that those goalkeepers took part in. So in the case of Onana, that would be the Serie A and the Champions League, and in the case of David De Gea, that would be the Europa League and the Premier League. As you can see here, no surprise, David De Gea is actually top of the list in terms of errors. He's committed 5 errors in the league and in the Europa League this season. Of course, what is not surprising, I mean, goalkeepers are quite error prone because they are the last line of defense. If they mess up, that usually means it's a big deal, and usually it means it's a goal. So of course, usually goalkeeper can expect 2 to 3 mistakes a season, with of course David De Gea on the high end of the scale. But what's interesting here is that even though in the footage that I just showed you, Andre Onana plays pretty high, he's very risky, very nonchalant with the way that he plays football, he actually didn't make any mistakes this season. And this just shows great intelligence from Andre Onana in that he's a great risk assessor. He knows when to take risks and when to play it safe. He's also confident in his ability. He's got like that Zen, meditation, Zen kind of mentality, when he's completely unfazed with what's happening around him. He really knows how to control his nerves, and this is why he's not committing as many errors. So he's a player who plays a very risky way, but he balanced that out by not making as many mistakes. And I thought that was a very interesting statistic, very insightful, very revealing about the value of having a player like Andre Onana in your team. Now let's look at shot stopping. So of course, a goalkeeper's main job is to of course stop the ball from going in. So one of the main statistics and pieces of data you can look at is of course the save percentage. Now, as we can see from here, Diogo Costa has actually the highest save percentage. However, by looking at Andre Onana all the way to Diogo Costa, all of these goalkeepers, including Ter Stegen and David Raya, are pretty close to each other in the upper 70%, with of course David De Gea and Ederson again showing how poor Ederson is as a shot stopper, and of course David De Gea himself. But of course, looking at save percentage to judge a goalkeeper's stopping ability is just like looking at goals to judge a striker. Of course, there are a lot of elements that come into play. So this kind of just acts as a starting point, but it doesn't show us the full picture. Well, luckily for us, there is a statistic that is called PSXG, which is post-shot expected goals. Think about it as the expected goals for goalkeepers. It just shows how many goals this goalkeeper was expected to concede. And actually, you can calculate this by what you can do is actually take this stat and then calculate all of the goals, the amount of goals that a goalkeeper was expected to concede in a season, and then minus the goals that he actually allowed in, the goals that he actually conceded. And that can give you a number that can be interpreted as how many goals did this goalkeeper actually prevent from going in. Now, of course, already red flag here, Ederson. Ederson has actually allowed in 2.3 goals more than what Manchester City was expected to concede. So he literally cost Manchester City 2.3 goals in the Premier League and the Champions League. Of course, it didn't make much of a difference to them achieving their goals and winning the treble. Fuck me. And but then we look at other goalkeepers. For example, David De Gea. What David De Gea did in this season is that he prevented 1.2 goals. So he's in the green, but it's not impressive. Andre Onana, on the other hand, has prevented 4.9 goals for Inter Milan. But remember, this is not per 90. Andre Onana has actually only played 37 games between Serie A and Champions League because the season has been rotated at Inter Milan with Handanovic. And yet, he's prevented way more goals than someone like David De Gea, for example. Had he played 50 games like David De Gea, you can expect, like, let's say, for example, I don't know, 60% more goals prevented. That would put him somewhere around 8 plus 8. That means that what I hear from a lot of Manchester United fans, things like, well, David De Gea is not very good with his feet, but he's an amazing shot stopper. Yeah, we could bring someone like Andre Onana, but then is he as good a shot stopper as David De Gea? No. Well, no. Yeah, of course he is a better shot stopper than David De Gea. We're not compromising on shot stopping. Andre Onana is actually a very good shot stopper, much better than David De Gea at least. So we are not compromising in that department. So with Andre Onana, we are getting a goalkeeper who is very good with his footwork, but also who is a very good shot stopper, at least better than David De Gea. And he's only going to get better because he's still younger at 27. And we are not missing out. This would be an amazing transfer for us at Manchester United. So with Onana, we are getting a magnificent goalkeeper. A very good sweeper keeper, but also a highly experienced one. Even though he's still young for a goalkeeper at 27, he's reached the Champions League semi-final, a Champions League season where Ajax deserved to actually play Liverpool in that final. And also now he reached the Champions League final with Inter Milan against Manchester City. And we have to talk about the elephant in the room, which is his connection to Erik ten Hag. He played under Erik ten Hag at Ajax, and his connection with Lisandro Martinez. In fact, we are just Jurriën Timber short of, getting the Erik ten Hag Ajax band together at Old Trafford. And for a goalkeeper and a center back to know each other, to already have that relationship, it would mean that as far as Onana is concerned, that transition into the Premier League, that transition into the Manchester United setup is not going to take a long time. Because he's going to most likely play alongside Lisandro Martinez and Varane. Varane is calm and experienced. Lisandro Martinez was his teammate at Ajax. This is an amazing partnership that we could be building at the heart of our defense. Luke Shaw on the left, Dalot on the right. That is a very, very good backline. So I am excited about this. I believe that if we are going to spend money on a goalkeeper, I'd rather spend it on someone like Onana rather than Diogo Costa, who is still very good, or Raya, who's also very good, but whose contract expires next season. Because Andre Onana, Erik ten Hag knows him. He's a high-level goalkeeper who plays in Champions League semi-finals and finals, who has won titles before. I think if we are spending, 40 to 50 million pounds on a goalkeeper, spend it on Andre Onana. So what do you guys think about this? Please leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of this, and cheers.